Recording in progress. All right, guys. It's going to be evidence now and some sort of case against me, I'm sure. Well, before we, start the session proper and cut off this beginning, is there any questions anybody has? I did want to keep where we're going a mystery, but Julie, especially since you are joining the group fresh, do you have any idea what these guys have done prior to you joining? Do you have any questions as to where you're going to be dropped in? Do you know anything?
I feel like I do not know. I know next to nothing. I listened to one episode of the podcast about one of the characters who creating a character for the first time I did join the group, which was the live stream. So
yes,
yeah, I'm excited. I'm a blank slate.
Okay, well, I'm going to give you just a little bit of a primer, just so you have sort of an understanding of what we're getting into. So, in general, this is a time traveling podcast. It's a little bit of Bill and Ted. People have this Ministry of Illumination. Is that what we're talking about? Ministry of Illumination has gathered some figures from throughout history that they think can accomplish tasks for them. And they have so far only sent them to Paris during the French Revolution. And as they completed their mission and got back, and they're sort of getting unsure vibes about what this ministry does, but they have chosen to stick with them thus far. The person that they rescued for the ministry was debriefed in probably a less than peaceful fashion. And gave up some information about a group called the School of Night that they were potentially working with. That person also said to these other adventurers that they should join them. They should join them and the School of Night. They have the ability to travel through time as well, and they could hide them from the ministry. You, as Julie, will be brought in as a newly acquired member of the ministry to help them complete their next mission. I don't know what Chris has told you about what we're doing today, but today it's going to be mostly mystery. We are doing D&D history mysteries because I know nothing about history, so we're doing things where I just get to make them up. So we're gonna have some fun today. So whatever, I don't know if we need like a clap. Welcome anybody watching to D&D History side project, D&D History Mysteries. I am hosting today, as you can see behind me. Usually I am playing Rasputin, but today I will be pretending to be the DM. I will do my best impression of Toby doing voices for certain characters. And we will be taking a little adventure together. How's everybody feeling? Is everybody feeling ready?
Yep. Ready to rock.
As ready as I'll ever be.
Tesla or Lord Byron, you don't need to give us any sort of, what happened last episode, since this is sort of a side project. But can you tell us a little bit about where your characters are right now, like physically where they are?
Do
you know?
I feel like Tesla at this point has been busying himself in the Ministry of Illumination's libraries, trying to read what he can through their documents, and often getting waylaid by the ministry staff and officials who often kind of gerrymander him around. They give him one thing to look at, and then they give him another thing to look at, and he's getting the feeling he's being run around.
Mm-hmm. Lord Byron.
Yeah, so Lord Byron recently acquired a heripatath of health, which has cured him of a long-afflicted disease. And ever since he's become immune to the woes of Venus, shall we say. He's realized now he's immune. It's the only superpower he's ever wanted. So he's been pestering the ministry to send him back to sleep with various famous historical figures. And there's always an excuse they come up with not to, frustratingly. Something about timelines and some nonsense. But I will speak to Cleopatra, goddammit.
Well, you will be called from wherever you are in the moment out to that large, ostentatious dining room where you are occasionally met by the leader of the ministry. Did he give us a name? Oh, great leader? I forget. Okay, no name. So he is just sort of the wrapped up and robed mysterious leader of the Ministry of Illumination. And as you sit down to, usually brings you fine wine and a nice meal.
I believe you're referring to Master Dowager.
Oh, Master Dowager, yes, is your handler, correct? And he will be there as well, seated at the right hand of your fearless leader of the Ministry of Illumination. And here comes my impression of Toby. It's solid. As you're seated and you're greeted by fine wine and a nice meal, he says, "Oh well, everybody, we've got a bit of a puzzler for you today. I know we said we'd be sending you on a longer mission, but this is of importance, and I think could be a quick one for you. Sometimes the ministry has small windows of time that we cannot really view as they're happening. We only really get to view them in hindsight. And this one, well, it involves a massive disappearance, but that's not really the point. We have not really been able to fully grasp what's happening in this moment, and our suspicion is that this school of night has somehow created an unviewable bubble to hide their machinations and their next missions from us. So we'll be sending you to do a little bit of investigation. Is everybody all right with that? Seems fine.
So once we've discovered time travel, I mean, time really has no meaning. So I had no other plans.
This is true. It's an excellent way of thinking about it. So cooperative. Well, your friend, Rasputin, will not be joining us. We sent him, into the hall to find some item for himself that he's willing to have, and he's been in there mumbling about min-maxing for the last, you could call it a week. So today you'll be accompanied by our newest infiltrator, recently brought into the ministry's fold, a master of sword and society, Madame de Malpan, Julie d'Albany.
Julie takes a bow and says, "A pleasure to meet everyone."
She enters the room and sits down with everybody. What does Julie look like? Can you give us just like a rough description of who they're seeing?
Yeah, so Julie is a fairly tall woman who prefers to dress in men's clothes, or the male garb of her time, so around the 1600s, kind of shock of flowing red hair and double rapiers at each hip.
Okay. Julie is being brought in to help smooth out your rougher attempts at diplomacy. She also is from not too far from the time where you will be traveling. We will be sending you all to a small island off the coast of North America in CE 1588 called Roanoke. I don't know if any of you have ever heard of anything from there, but there is a small group of people there, a small group of colonists there that have been dropped off or dispatched by a Sir Walter Raleigh. They are the second group of colonists. The first group of colonists did not exactly make it, but it was pretty clear what happened there. And for some reason, they decided to just drop off another batch and see how that went. Should you have any interaction with any locals, your cover story is that you are part of a dispatch by a Sir Francis Drake. His fleet are the group that rescued the last of the first colonists. Considering what happened to the last settlement, who knows if you'll have to interact with anybody. Your primary mission here is to find any agents of the rebel faction and snuff them out. You don't need to see any of this School of Night in our timeline at all. If you so happen to solve the mystery of why we can't see into this specific location, so much the better, but that really is secondary.
That is suitable for me, Tesla.
It would be nice to have someone a bit more adept at diplomacy. Previous efforts were, well, we can do better. If your wit is as sharp as your blade, then we should be in good company.
Byron is uncharacteristically tongue-tied as he admires a bisexual, French-speaking, sword-fighting character, very much like himself.
Julie gives Lord Byron a quick nod of recognition, as she is very adept at picking up when people admire her.
Excellent. Well, it seems like our team is running pretty smoothly. I'm forgetting the voice for your actual handler, but as the minister leaves the room, he says, well, I'll give you a moment here, and then I will open up the door to the place where we will be going. And as you've experienced the last couple times, I will be waiting in the same place for you. Once you have completed your mission, you can meet me back where I have left you, and I will bring you directly back here. Is everybody feeling ready? Is there anything you feel like you need to do before you leave?
My own research endeavors are not finding any fruit, so I believe I'm fine to go now. My things are with me at all times. Pats a little messenger bag to the side.
Yes, I am prepared as well when the group is ready to go.
My blade is sharp, as is my wit. I'm ready.
Excellent. And as per usual, he will sort of unzip a place in reality and part it. And as you see the portal open, you are welcomed to step through. And on the other side, you see what looks like a crisp fall day. Everybody steps through. And as you walk out onto the other side, you realize you are sort of stepping through what looks like a tree. And as you look back, you can see this handler is sitting there basically inside the false room in the tree, you know, with a little like a door open on the tree, waiting for you to return. As you step out, again, crisp fall day, there are leaves of every warm color covering the ground. There are mostly dead trees with just little bits of leaves as far as the eye can see. For the most part, you are, oh, you know what? I can actually share the screen and give you a picture. Hey, look at that. Well, sort of. instead, I'm just going to give you a rough map. Multiple participants can share. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Can I make this full screen? Sorry for the presenter view. Let's see. Hold on. Wait. Try again. Oh, well, this isn't working the way I wanted to. So, either way, beautiful trees. There are also pine trees, that are not exactly losing their needles. But what you see in front of you is a forest. Far off in the distance, through the trees, you can see little bits of little areas where it doesn't really necessarily look like trees. You can see very linear wood posts, but that's like very weirdly in the distance, and you assume that is potentially the direction in which you're headed towards the colony. Who has, I would like, since I don't have Julie's character sheet in front of me, I would like to know, can everybody just read off your passive perception for me?
Passive perception is 12.
Thank you.
11.
11.
And I sent along my character sheets.
I just saw it. Thank you so much.
That's an 11 from me.
I mean, passive perception is 16 for me.
Passive perception of 16. Beautiful. I assume that you guys are sort of making your way towards the colony. Are you sort of exploring the area first? What do you think would be your first motive here?
Well, perhaps we should discuss a plan of action here then. You two seem to be the more social amongst us. What are your thoughts for rooting out spies?
That is a tricky proposition. We would have to get their, earn the trust of the settlers, I can only assume, before we are able to root out the spies. Lord Byron, do you have any opinion?
Let's find an excuse to throw a party and buy everyone copious amounts of alcohol. That normally works for me.
I would agree with this idea. However, I only have 15 gold, so I hope your pockets are lined more than mine.
Paris was reasonably expensive. We had various expenses, the people to hire. But yes, I do believe I can still afford a round or two of wine. And I did pocket a couple of bottles from the ministry cellar.
All right. Well, perhaps we should approach and let the people know that we are a special emissary to report on the goings-on of the colony and to provide some morale during a difficult time.
Sounds like a lovely plan, and maybe they'll find something a bit warmer than this lab coat. I haven't had a chance to change.
Oh, that's right. I didn't even think about that. You guys will look a bit out of place. So your plan is to head towards the colony, so I imagine you start walking that direction. But Byron, with a passive perception of 16, on your way there are things that look out of place in this relatively pristine woodland setting. I mean, you hear the sounds of the ocean, you see these beautiful, trees and leaves and this very fresh air. But in a couple places you start noticing that there are whole tree branches, like large tree branches that are broken off. there are places where leaves on the ground seem in unnatural states. And as you get closer to the colony, you can see there is a very, very large patch, probably about, let's call it 8 feet around, where something is definitely extremely wrong with the really everything that's touching the ground, all of the things that are growing there. Is this something you think you would sort of note in passing, or would anybody like to investigate a little further?
If Byron passes it on, Tesla would be interested to just see if he can just have a look and see exactly what the difference is. Like, are they contracting scale rot? Is this a disease he can understand? He's not a medical doctor by any means, but he's looking to see if he can understand the symptoms by comparison.
Well, assuming Byron does pass it on, thumbs up. Tesla, as you get closer, what you see is not a disease. Well, what you see is not obviously a disease of the trees themselves. It seems to be something moving and roiling in the moments. There are leaves that are actively, like, visibly drying to brown and rotting to mulch. There are places where you can see whole mushrooms growing and blooming and sporing and dying. There are places where you can see the leaves themselves are going from a faded amber color to a bright green and shrinking nearly out of existence. Whole roots of trees are losing their bark and sucking back in. But this takes minutes to see what is all happening here. Whole, rocks in the ground are breaking down.
Just for my personal visual reference, is this
Yes.
similar to, I don't know if you've seen it, there's a 2013 film called Epic. Okay.
I haven't.
It's got similar motifs to Fern Gully, but just like the corruption of the landscape immediately like rotting and degrading. It's happening without seeming source.
Well, it's so the source is not obvious to you, but it is not just that things are rotting and degrading. It seems like some things are almost getting younger. Things are reverting to a more healthy state before, or not even to a more healthy state, but like the roots of the trees are not shriveling necessarily. The root that you can see that's sticking out of the ground is not necessarily shriveling and drying, but sort of shrinking, and it is losing its bark and showing the fresh wood, and then growing another layer of bark and shrinking to the fresh wood as you see it sort of just retracting closer and closer to the tree that it is connected to.
So saying this to the group, I'm not sure, but this looks like some sort of temporal anomaly. Time.
Byron was doing, the impression I do when I go to the mechanics, where I pretend I look like I know what is happening in the conversation. And he was doing a bit of that, if he's honest, while Tesla was doing his genius shit. But I just rolled a dirty 20 on my nature check. So I suppose while he was looking around pretending, maybe he spotted something interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to you,
Sorry, Tesla, I was doing a good impression of someone that was listening to you, but I didn't understand
yeah. To you, it seems like with that nature check, things are both getting younger and getting older at visible rates, which is extremely unnatural and next to each other. It doesn't seem to be one spot over the other.
Byron, a very good deduction you've made. I would say, yes, time seems to be the problem here. It's going neither forwards nor backwards, but both. Seems like we're in the right place. Let's go.
Julie knows very little about nature, and maybe perhaps a little bit more about temporal anomalies, but mostly she is amused at Lord Byron's attempts to pontificate on the phenomenon. So she kind of crosses her arms and nods with a bit of a smirk.
How do you say in French? Le temps wibble et le wobble.
Ah oui.
Le wobble. That's my next album.
French listeners, like, you're welcome. De rien. Merci pour vous.
And the closer you get to this thing, I should mention, really, let me back it up. As you stepped through the portal, though this is your first time, Julie, you experienced this for the first time, and maybe you feel like, oh, maybe this is just sort of the feeling you get when you're traveling through time portals. These two, you get sort of an unnatural pressure in your ears, almost like I know not everybody gets this, but I definitely get it when you're in a plane and you're landing and everything starts to just squeeze in. It's at first, it's not that intense, but the closer you get to this, let's call it an anomaly, it gets more and more intense, really, for all of you. That sort of pressure starts to build in on your ears.
Let me just do a quick experiment. He's going to walk around and see if he can find some form of stick or stone, just some loose foliage. And he's just going to very tenderly throw it into the spot where the anomaly seems to be happening.
Tesla, you throw this stick in there, and the three of you view this stick like before it hits this anomaly before it hits the ground. So it passes through what you assume is some sort of barrier that you cannot see. And the second it hits that barrier, it starts its degradation process, and before it even hits the ground, it is basically a rotted sawdust. And what you see actually hit the ground is more of a fine dark brown powder than a stick.
Well, I suppose we know what we ought to avoid then.
My plan was to jump in it. I'm kind of glad you did that.
Well, I suppose science is sometimes just stating the obvious. Good.
I suggest that we do not touch the anomaly, and I suggest we move on, and perhaps we will find more clues that will reveal its nature.
Indeed. I'm of a like mind.
Byron's going to get out one of his bottles of wine and hold it close to the anomaly. This is some bonus wine aging right here.
Sure, yeah.
So put a couple of decades on this bad boy.
Artificially aged wine never tastes good.
Byron, you know what? I am going to give you the option. You can give me an investigation or a perception check to see if you can tell where the barrier for the anomaly itself is as you reach in to attempt to age your wine.
So I'll just slowly reach out with a nervous hand, moving the wine towards the anomaly. Investigation, you say?
Yeah, investigation or perception, I would say it's up to you. This is kind of a tough call.
That'd be a 22.
A 22. So you move it in so slowly and gently that as the punt of the wine bottle hits the anomaly, you can almost see its effects on the glass itself. So you're careful not to dip your fingers into the anomaly. And you see it is not really aging as rapidly as the, you know what, actually, let me just roll a d20 for myself just to see which way it goes. Okay. So it is not nearly aging as rapidly as the stick did. You know, not everything is going to disappear, but you can see as you put the whole wine bottle in, the paper on the wine bottle starts to rise up off of the the glue starts to dry, and it starts to get sun bleached and reach away from the wine bottle. At what point do you think you would pull it out?
That's enough. Like, as soon as I see any signs of visible aging, I'm like, I think I just turned this good wine into a great wine.
Sure.
Whatever happens next, this mission has been a success. Don't you worry.
Excellent. All right. So yeah, you have definitely discovered an anomaly in space-time, as you put it.
For the benefit of Julie, I translate en français on dit anomalie.
God damn it. If I have to listen to this the whole session.
Julie similarly rolls her eyes and sort of mutters mon Dieu to herself. But yeah, kind of again nods her head and says, yes, well, I suggest that you take the first taste of the strange time wine that you have concocted. But in the meanwhile, we have a mission, do we not?
Well, I mean, as it's morning and we have a mission, I wasn't going to suggest it, but I need no further encouragement. And with that, Byron opens the wine
Oh my God.
and says, "Oh la la, c'est magnifique," and offers it to Julie.
I would like. Julie is probably pretty skeptical about this wine.
Wine.
As a time wine, being a young, attractive woman, I think she's afraid that perhaps the wine would cause strange effects on her own body and physique. I don't know if that would be perhaps an investigation check or a perception check that she would do.
I cause strange effects to many a young, attractive woman's body. Fear not, my.
Yeah. I would say base it
I'm
on.
going to turn into the who's the French skunk comic. I think I'm becoming.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh God. I would say base it on how you're testing it. If it's just like sort of a scent test, let's call it perception. If you're going to give it like a little taste, we'll call it investigation.
She kind of wafts with one hand at the mouth of the bottle, and I will roll perception.
Are you looking for like poison essentially, or time roofies?
Yeah. Does it smell? Does it smell off? Does it smell like time? I mean, who knows? Sure. Right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Go ahead.
Look, Byron was many things, but he never had to roofie a lady for affection. I'm sure you of that.
The trick to understanding whether it's going to age you older or make you younger is, does it smell like cranberries and prune, or does it smell like Red Bull?
It's just a bottle full of grapes. Yeah.
I know, that's what I was thinking was going to happen if it went backwards. It's like, is it just grapes in there? But I rolled a 10. So I don't know how much.
With a 10, the label looks older and it doesn't smell like vinegar. So.
And she takes a swig from the bottle.
I would say, yeah, okay. Here's a piece of information. I know absolutely nothing about wine, so I'm gonna go with good.
If it just gets better, like literally. Just so you know, if you can ever find a bottle of wine pre-1926, it will cost you $30,000 or more. But
sure. So it tastes like you're licking slightly the tips of your own fingers. Mwah. So it's actually it's unbelievable. There's nobody in this group that is previously to Julie, a better judge of wine and good wine specifically than our own Lord Byron. If the man says it's good, it is probably good.
Despite my better judgment, I must say, Lord Byron, you do have impeccable taste in wine.
Tesla, how are you feeling?
In one-liners.
Tesla, how are you feeling about the wine tasting that's happening right now?
Fascinating. All right, if you wouldn't mind, he grabs the messenger bag, pulls out a little test tube with the cork stopper, unstoppers, and goes, for research later, if you don't mind.
Sure, yeah.
And you know how to have a good time. Sure, yeah. Put the wine in the test tube, bro. Whatever makes you happy.
Yeah, he's going to stop her and put it back in the messenger bag. Could come in handy.
So he can start his time wine business, which will be our next one shot. Running your time wine business. Yeah, you have conclusively figured out that it is both. It can move things forward and reverse in time, and you can occasionally use it to move things forward, objects forward in their aging process.
Right, mystery solved. We still have 2 hours to go. I think that's a good win. Let's all go home.
As you guys move through, you realize, how do I get rid of this? There you go. Some of the places where you have seen these branches broken down, or these big or rather small disturbances on the ground, are exhibiting some of these same I guess traits. There are things or moments where it looks burnt, but maybe a piece of a tree is totally rotted out, or the ground is absolutely clear of leaves and is covered in nice fresh soil emulsion, sometimes even grass that is growing and disappearing in those moments. And so I assume you're heading over to the colony way?
Yeah, the only thing I'll say is that I'm not a druid, so I don't understand what's going on with this forest. But are there any signs of footsteps? Like, are we the first people to discover this, or?
You are far away enough. Well, you know what? So give me a survival check, I guess. Survival is like sort of finding your way and looking for tracking people, right?
13.
So with a 13, no, you don't necessarily see any footsteps, but in the distance, a little bit closer to the colony, and off to the south, you see there are signs of life for sure. There are paths. There are areas where they are attempting to grow things. There are areas where there has clearly been foot traffic, but not necessarily as close to where you are. As you make your way a little bit closer to the colony itself, what you're actually seeing, and again, I'd share a picture, but I'm not exactly sure what's going on over here. What you're seeing is a very well, they're not necessarily close together, but I'd say maybe a foot apart, whole like tree logs in spikes, making a sparse gate around the colony. As you get closer and you move farther to the south and the east, you can see it at least almost fully encircles the colony, and you can see through these posts. It's not by any means a full gate, or it gives them any sort of privacy, but you can see early houses and sometimes huts, thatched roofs, sometimes built with stone and wood, but it's clear that it hasn't been necessarily fortified into like a permanent settlement. These things are constantly ongoing and in flux, and there are lots of houses, huts, in general. Some of them are bigger, clearly to house lots of families. There are, I mean, it's, I'm going to call it like maybe 30, 40 buildings that look like they could all house multiple families, and a larger building sort of in the middle, near a place where you would build a large pyre or fire. And as you, so go ahead.
Clear,
yes.
We believe that Sir Francis Drake and Sir Walter Raleigh are here.
No, well, we'll say you can have gotten a little bit of information about that before you left, because I know we moved through that relatively quickly. But Sir Walter Raleigh, the background that you were given is Sir Walter Raleigh funded and put forth this mission to colonize this island. Sir Walter Raleigh had tried once before, and the colony did not make it, and was like, all right, send it again. The previous colonists, the last of them, or maybe the last group that was there inspecting the colony that had fallen, were rescued by Sir Francis Drake's fleet, or members of Sir Francis Drake's fleet. His fleet has gone up and down this coast. They are mostly much farther south than here, but they have occasionally assisted Sir Walter Raleigh's thing. Neither one of them are there. But these are areas that, they believe belong to them.
And if I remember correctly, Lord Byron, our cover story is to say Sir Francis Drake sent us.
Excellent. I'm a long-standing fan of Sir Francis Drake. One of the original pirates. I don't know if you're familiar with his history, Tesla.
Not at all, but I'm sure you'll tell me as we go.
I will if the DM will allow it.
Absolutely. So you inform him whatever it is that you know about Sir Francis Drake and Sir Walter Raleigh. If you, out of character, would like to share any of this information with the group right now, so that everybody is,
Fascinating character. So Elizabeth was struggling for many reasons, least of all because she was a female queen, and so was surrounded by those who would doubt her. And this was during the golden age of piracy. The seas were really struggling. The trade routes were often being robbed, and all of her advisors recommended that she make an example of these pirates with punitive measures, and she was far too smart for that. And instead, she promoted them all, gave them official titles, and made them head of the navy. And said, as long as you attack French and Spanish boats and pay 20% tax, you're welcome to pirate as much as you want. And they were called privateers, and it was officially made legal. So especially Francis Drake, his background is very, very fucking piratey. And she just gave him a complete pardon and legitimized it and made him sir. And he was like, yeah. And surrounded by these old, like, traditional naval types, ended up running the British Navy because he knew what was about. And famously, when the Spanish Armada tried to attack Britain, they had a very rigid, hierarchical king who was also head of the church, the same as Elizabeth, since her father Henry VIII had usurped and become Protestant. And yes, the day the Spanish Armada set sail, very stormy, and the sailors in the Armada knew it was a bad idea, but obviously you can't send a message up to the king to say, not today, dude, this is a terrible idea. But the difference was Elizabeth had given power to pirates. So when Sir Francis Drake heard that the Spanish Armada was on its way, he was, and this is an apocryphal story, probably not true, but he was playing bulls, and he looked out at the sea and the weather and said, today we'll wait. And all these, like, servants were like panicking. No, but you don't understand, like, thousands of boats are coming this way. He's like, yeah, like, I'll fight them tomorrow. There's no way I'm launching boats in this weather. And sure enough, Armada got fucking wrecked. And,
that is cold. That is all information to me as well. I understood Sir Francis Drake, pirate, Spanish, and that's about all I had before this. That is
how you promote a fucking pirate for the job.
It's incredibly cool. So you guys get a little education on Sir Francis Drake, the person who is supposedly funding your mission and putting you guys out there on your way.
A quick note: he was also a slaver.
Well, you know, yeah.
Anyway.
Hey, nobody's perfect.
It makes me wonder, did he rescue the last colonists or did he rescue them?
I believe members of his fleet actually did rescue those people. He brought back, the members of his fleet actually brought back a couple of let's call it emissaries from native tribes too, that had been trying to calm relations. There hadn't been issues with, well, this is outside of it, there hadn't been issues necessarily with native tribes that were on the islands, but on the mainland for sure, because Europeans had been going onto the mainland and just like pillaging their shit constantly. Silver Cup story is something to Google. Anyway, as you make your way into the colony, you find your way around as you move to the south and to the east, and you see that it is not necessarily a complete circle that it surrounds the colony. It sort of like interconnects right here. So there is a slight path into where you're headed, and as you head in there, it is surprisingly sparse. Not in terms of buildings, but in terms of people, for the amount of housing that is there, and the large bonfire area that's built there. You would assume, and for the amount of things that are built, period, you would assume that there would be more people there.
Quel dommage. Our plan to throw a party is rapidly evaporating.
Sans the party guests, we're a bit short on resources.
Yeah,
where have they gone?
This is a good question. It's not, it is the morning, but perhaps there should be more activity at this time.
In fact, speaking of activity, you can see there's an area off to one side where a father and a son are cleaning things that have been hunted. They're dressing down deer and rabbits and laying out hides to be tanned, and there are people taking laundry from place to place, assuming they'll be taking it down to a river or some such. And there are a small group of people all standing around listening to one man talk. And even if you don't necessarily walk up, it's a very quiet space. He's definitely the loudest thing there, and he's shouting that this place is bedeviled. This whole place is cursed. They lost an entire colony here, and the people that we are losing now, you think that somehow you will survive? This is madness. I've just arrived from the southern islands, and the Croatoan are willing to take us in. We need to leave this space as soon as possible. Everybody pack up the things that you must. And as he's talking, some people are walking away and rolling their eyes, but some people are staying and looking absolutely enthralled and afraid. He says, on the largest tree in the area, I will leave a message for our mayor. When he comes back and comes looking for us, he will know exactly where we are. He will know that we have gone to the Croatoan. Please, 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 everybody, pack up your things. I am going to get the last of my things now, and I will leave at nightfall for the rest of you, or with the rest of you.
I would like to slow clap and say, this man speaks sense. You should heed his words.
many people turn and see a slightly more finely dressed man, and all attention is on you. And this man, though confused, addresses you right there and says, I don't believe I know you, friend. Is there something that you know that can help sway these people from this place?
Good sir, we are fresh off the boat. We have yet to have the pleasure to meet.
There's a boat.
Alas, it just left. We were here for an update. Had we known the peril you were in, we would have asked the boat to stay. But no, you raise an excellent point. We have been sent here because we've heard reports of concerning dangerous nature, and it's natural to be skeptical. But please, sir, tell us what you know. We're here to help however we can.
And one of the people in the very small crowd that's surrounding him says, people are just leaving in the night. This place is terrible. We can't grow anything. We can't make a life here. They've gone off to find a better life on the mainland. People are just leaving us at night. And another person pipes in and says, some people they've talked about others disappearing during the day. And as these people are, sort of arguing amongst themselves, the man says, please, everybody. People have been disappearing from the colony. Nobody's really sure why it's happening. Many, like this good lady right here, believe that they are just going to the mainland for a better life, but it's happening so quickly, and the other colony was wiped out. We believe it could be the natives, but it doesn't. It is happening so quickly. We believe it could be the curse of this place, and some people are like, oh, the curse, And he says, I thank you for helping convince these people, but most importantly, we must leave as soon as possible. We must leave tonight at nightfall.
But you said there were no boats. How are people leaving if there are no boats?
We will pack our things up and march if we must. We will do whatever is necessary to get away. There are areas where we can move along a near seawall towards the island chain. There are very, very small boats that we can pack people in small groups. Whatever I can do, I will get people off the island.
I'm curious. Have you spotted any, other than natives? Have you spotted any strange people? And any, even if you've written them off as rumors or nonsense, like, has there been any signs of any haunting, anything untowards?
Everybody sort of looks at each other and is sort of shrugging, and one elderly woman way in the back says, I once saw an arm reach right out of the sky and grab a bird and it disappeared. And everybody's like, crazy lady. No, in fact, you are the strangest people that we've seen in much time.
Thank you for the compliment.
And as they sort of discuss amongst themselves and start to disperse a little bit, you notice there's also there's a woman standing sort of on the outskirts in front of a house, holding a baby, and the moment she makes like quick eye contact with Julie, she grabs her baby and sort of disappears inside the house. And sort of like with a little bit of maybe fear or distrust. It's hard to tell, but
important question
yes.
For flavor. Is she attractive?
Is she attractive? Excellent question, Byron. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You bastard. Well, she has a baby. How does Byron feel about that?
Like, it depends. Is she a yummy mummy?
Is she a yummy mummy? God damn it. Well, you know what? I don't think we've met an NPC yet that Byron hasn't been like, yeah, I'd get with that. So I'm gonna say, yeah, she's attractive. Yeah.
I'm gonna nudge Julie and be like, yeah, I think she was looking at you. So I guess you get first dibs.
She was a little taken aback, but recovers quickly and says, well, in fact, she seemed to be looking at me with some suspicion. I will try to
trust
speak
me,
with her.
that's a good start. Like you have her attention.
She shrugs and says, I suppose you may have a point. And Julie approaches the threshold of the door and maybe a polite knock on the threshold, on the door frame.
Sure. And I mean, with the speed that it's answered, you're pretty sure she didn't, move very quickly from the door, but she cracks it open with her baby all swaddled in her hands and says, yes, what can I do for you? She's only got a crack. She's got her head poked out.
Apologies, I have not introduced myself. I am Julie Dominier, and I am part of an emissary from Sir Francis Drake. But I noticed that you had been taking some attention in our group. I wanted to let you know that we are here to help. Perhaps, do you know anything about these disappearances in your colony, in your town?
She hears your accent at first, and she hears you say your name is Julie, and she immediately holds her baby a little bit farther at first, and then she hears you say you're an emissary of Sir Francis Drake, and opens it a little bit wider, and she says, well, I have seen some things, but I just didn't think anybody would believe me.
Well, fear not, madame. You are in the company of people who are all with open ears. And Julie gestures to Lord Byron and kind of makes a gesture like, hey, can you bring that bottle? You see that bottle you got in your hand? This way, please.
For fun and flavor, can we say that the bottle of wine provides bardic inspiration?
Sure. Yeah, I like this. Yeah, absolutely.
Pass a recently vintage bottle of wine. It's an act of bardic inspiration.
Absolutely. So she backs up a little shyly and opens the door and welcomes you into the house. Was the bottle of wine, was that offered to her for a drink?
And the baby, yes.
Yeah, absolutely. So she takes a sniff and she tips it a little bit, gets one finger in there and puts the finger in the baby's mouth and is happy to have a little cup and take a sip herself. And she says, well, I'm afraid to show others because of the devil talk. My fear is that they will believe that I am somehow part of this. And she sighs and pauses and then sort of guides you towards the stairs and pauses and then goes all the way up the stairs. She says, follow me. And
Madame, let me assure you, we have an expression where we work. Do not shoot the messenger. It is not your fault for having seen what you've seen. It's very helpful for you to share it.
She is leading you up, but just for the sake of it, I would like you to give me a persuasion check, please, and thank you.
Okay.
I know Byron's not that good at that. 19. I mean, yeah, she's definitely more comforted by this. We haven't been doing a lot of checks, guys. This has been a lot of role play. This is my bad. So this is
great. Thank you.
Yeah. No
so she guides you up. And are there stairs in colony houses? Probably not. She guides you up the stairs and towards the first room there, and she refuses to step in but pushes the door and steps out of the way for you to enter. And as you all step in, what you see is a rafter towards the top, a whole chunk of the bed. Really anything in an area around like a little 3-4 foot circle has just been torn down to the ground. And on the ground, like, so a huge chunk out of a bed, a huge broken rafter, what probably served as like an end table, have all been ripped down to the ground, and the ground itself, the pieces themselves, have rotted away to basically nothing. It is a place that looks almost as if, like, this is, I think, probably why she has the devil fear, like something has just burned a straight hole in that area. And when you guys get closer, things are moving and changing, and they're very much like the other temporal anomalies you've seen.
Yes, I was going to say, like, no one get too close. These things can age fine wine, but they can also, yes, make things old and ugly.
And the moment she sees you guys take notice, she bursts into tears and she says, something took my husband Ananias in the night. I don't know what it was. I saw, but only a moment. But it, and she's like weeping now. I'm not a good enough actor to really give the gravity of her emotion, but it was just a mass of faces and hands, and it grabbed and it tried to reach out for so many things, but it only got pieces and pulled him down into hell, and is just weeping.
I will hug her.
Sure. Yeah. The hug is very nice, and it does help comfort her just to have somebody who is not, accusing her, who believes her and is there. Baby seems to be happy with it too. Babies like hugs.
And I know this is very, very distressing, and I am very sorry for your loss, but is there any other information you could give us about the happening? Was there a time of day, or did you hear anything, or beforehand or after?
We were asleep. It was the middle of the night. I all of a sudden I had a bit of a, like, almost like a head pain, a headache, and then I heard the sounds. I heard the sounds of crashing and wailing and screaming, and I'm just thankful that it was not on this side of the bed. And she gestures to where, like, there's like a makeshift crib for her baby next to her.
Ah, mon Dieu. This is indeed a very terrible situation for you and for your town. Do you know if any others have experienced this phenomenon, or would they be keeping it a secret, much like you?
You are correct. If anybody has, they have not told the group. The most outspoken has been this man who just arrived from exploring the Southern Isles, but everybody seems to think that it's, well, everybody has lots of different theories.
And this person his name is?
His name is Abner. Abner John.
Perhaps we should, she turns to Tesla and Lord Byron, and Julie says, perhaps we should speak with Abner. Of course, not. We will. Your secret is safe with us, but I think it would be prudent to speak with him. He seems quite involved in the situation.
I think you speak right. There's also that old woman who spoke about the arm reaching out of nowhere and grabbing a bird. She seems to be not fazed by the social values of this colony. She might be able to give us some heads up as well, if this Abner is not.
Yes, I agree. Let's start with Abner, because I don't know why you would use the power of time travel to steal birds. That seemed an anomaly to me. My dear lady, like, I shudder at the thought of you staying in the house where your husband was abducted and you have a temporal portal. As lucky as you must feel to have an upstairs in this day and age. Is there anywhere else you could stay?
I mean, I could stay in many of the other houses with other families, but it would raise questions. People would ask, where has Ananias gone? And they would ask, they would maybe investigate the house. And as long as I'm in the house, I can prevent people from coming in here and seeing.
My good lady, you are noble. I misunderestimated you. Thank you.
So are you guys, is there anything you guys would like to do in the house or with her before you head back out?
I'll leave the bottle of wine.
That seems very reasonable and a kindness. Yes,
I
also
notice that Julie notices my act of kindness.
Yeah, she's slowly warming up to you. Although, she may have a difference of opinion about how soon to wait after the death of one's husband to begin courtship.
A shoulder to cry on.
Sure. So you guys head back out. As you step back out into the town, you notice it's actually it's about sunset at this point. It's probably somewhere around mid to not quite late afternoon. It is fall, autumn, and the idea is to look for the older woman that you heard before.
Abner first, I believe.
Abner first, yeah, sure.
Although Julie mentions briefly to the group, having noticed the time, that, well, I will get it. I'll do this in character, if it's all right. Sure. She remarks, it occurs to me that our idea for a party may not be such a bad idea. If all of the disappearances are happening at night, if we can have the entire town in one place in the evening, perhaps that would make it easier to monitor any occurrences that happen tonight.
Slow clap from Byron. I love when a plan comes together.
Indeed, very clever.
But,
would you like to go? Yeah, Abner. You're gonna go find Abner first?
Yeah.
Cool. As you mill about the town, again, you see father and son are working on these hides. You see people, there are a couple of people who are attempting to maintain the big fire in the middle of town. There are some people who are tending to some dried goods on the other side of that large building. You don't see that old lady like obviously milling about town right now, but once you get to that southeastern corner, you can see just on the outskirts of town, Abner is talking to 2 other men with like just a small satchel full of tools in his hand.
Julie, perhaps your charms might work better than mine.
If you wish. You are, as I have begun to understand, quite charming yourself, but I would be happy to take the lead. And so she strolls up to Abner and says, 1,000 apologies. You're Abner, are you not? May I borrow you for, may my group and I borrow you for a small amount of time?
And the moment you speak, it gives him and both of the other 2 a little bit of pause, and he cocks an eyebrow and he says, you are French, and who did you say you were sent by?
Oh, Sir Francis Drake. You see, Sir Drake, you see, not the best relationship with the French, but I am an independent actor. And personally, I believe in his work, his excellent work in establishing this colony, and he recognized something great in me as well as my companions.
Sure.
I would like to pip up with my poshest English accent to help Julie.
Yeah. Julie, please give me a deception check at advantage.
Okay. All right. This is all my people skills are coming into play now. So
sure.
First roll, ooh, 11. Second roll, ooh, yeah, unnatural 20.
Oh, snap. He rolls his eyes and laughs a little bit and says, Drake, always an unpredictable man, and reaches out to shake your hand, gives you a handshake and Byron, and then gestures over Tesla as well, and greets you all and says, well, it is nice that after seeing what happened to the last colony that Drake would take an interest in the new one. I have been to an island that we are calling Croatoan for the people that live there, just south of here. The Croatoan are a kind and generous native people that are willing to take ours in, and they also seem to have some belief about this island that it is not meant for human survivability.
Yes, we have begun to gather as such. However, perhaps we can assist with exploring or uncovering this mystery. But we were hoping that perhaps you had more information about the goings-on of this town.
Well, to be honest, and the men all sort of look at each other and they say, we just arrived back yesterday. We have been sort of exploring the surrounding area, and like we said, the Southern Isles, to see what else was available, attempting to make contact with others. And when we came back, we saw this. There were maybe 120 people before we left, and there are nigh 40 now, maybe less. And one of the guys looks and says, maybe 30. They are not saying that people are dying here. They are not saying people are sick. They are just saying people are leaving or sick or leaving or disappearing. And it's, to be honest, we've seen a colony like this before, and it is unlikely that people are just wandering off on their own. In the new world, survivability is based on numbers.
Yes, I don't think people just randomly wander off unless something severely negative is happening. Agreed.
Julie,
I get an insight on these people. Sorry,
yeah,
Julie.
no, I think you and I were on the exact same. I was working myself up to insight,
Yeah.
but
I
take
just want to
take
read
a
on
stab
this
at
one.
it.
Insight check. I'm sorry. Yeah, go for it.
It's a 14 from me.
14. Julie, if you were feeling it as well, please.
All right. 18.
Ooh, 14 and 18. So what exactly were you trying to glean from your insight check? Whether he was being honest?
Yeah. I mean, I'm looking for two things, honesty and fear.
Honesty and fear. Julie, what exactly are you trying to glean?
Yeah, I want to know if he's holding back information from us, if there's something that he's reluctant to share.
Sure. In terms of reluctance, you feel like he is giving you everything he's got, and his what might come off as hesitance is mostly him being not necessarily scared that this is not that it's not enough, but yeah, just it upset that he is unable to give more help. And in terms of fear, yes, you definitely get a little bit of fear, and also frustration that people aren't just immediately listening to him and going. Thinks, I'm the guy, I have the answers, you should just be coming with me. So lots of fear and a little bit of anger at the people.
Is his plan to evacuate the island?
Yeah, he feels like he is fully committed to evacuating the island.
And tonight, no less. I realize that might interfere with our party plans now, depending on what he does. This is out of character because I don't have my ridiculous French accent on at the moment.
Sure.
I can walk and play lute at the same time.
Yeah, the traveling party, perhaps. No, Monsieur Jean, I appreciate you taking the time to talk with us. We would like to help in any way that we can. Clearly, this is a very difficult situation. Perhaps we will speak to the other people. But in the meanwhile, do you happen to know a place where, say, we were to have a gathering of some kind? Do you know a good place in this town where we could, like a bar, an inn, perhaps, where we could go?
And he chuckles a little bit and he says, there are no bars, no inns. This is the only place here. They have settled the colony and are trying to build things. But when the community gets together, it is usually around the fire, and gestures to like the big area where they would have like a big community bonfire. It's warm, it is bright, and it is the place where people would usually congregate.
Thank you very much. We will, unless my companions have more questions to ask you, we will be on our way.
Yes, fantastic to have someone with social skills in the party. It's been a time. Let me tell you.
A pleasure. Anytime. I enjoy socialization. Anywhere, anytime.
And as you're saying your goodbyes, you feel like that intense pressure start to build in your ears, the way you had previously. And you can, now that your hearing is a little bit muffled, you can hear sort of off in the distance a handful of screams and a very large crash, and that pressure goes away, and all of a sudden you can hear again, and you can hear people talking and milling back in the colony.
So a glimpse of terror, then disappeared and normality returned.
So you can still hear people freaking out in the colony, but you got that sort of feeling as if you were close to one of those.
Pressure's relieved.
Yeah,
but the screams were real. Okay,
but the screams were absolutely real, and they're still happening.
I run towards them.
Follow.
everybody books back towards the colony, and Abner and his two as well with you. And as you run back in, the first thing you notice is a much wider area, maybe like a 10-foot wide area by the place where the hides were being tanned and the hunts were being skinned, has just absolutely been smashed and crashed down. The sun is still there, and he's screaming at the ground, but you no longer see the man that was there. And not only do you see like an area where the ground is distorted and destroyed, but you can also see like lines coming straight out from it in a couple directions of that same, like, you know, destruction right there.
Mark my words. We're about to roll for initiative.
I mean, I'm curious about, is there a significance to the direction of the lines? How are we talking about very long lines that disappear into the horizon, short lines?
Short lines, probably, I mean, as you get closer, there, you know, lots of people have crowded around and are talking to themselves. There's the young boy is sort of sitting right next to it and freaking out a little bit. And what you actually see are, as you squeeze through, are probably like 3 to 4 maybe foot lines coming out from each side. Yeah, that's about right. And as you walk closer now that you're getting closer to, you know, this anomaly right here, like the one you saw the first time, like the one in the bedroom, you're starting to get that pressure build up again as you get close to it, that pressure in the ears.
I keep a respectful distance given what happened with our stick earlier today.
No one else is nearby, right?
There are lots of people nearby. Well, I mean, lots. There are some of the few people that are left in town that are actually in the colony itself. There are maybe 15, 16 people nearby, not including yourselves.
Define nearby, like, are they as far away as us, or are they closer to the?
They are as far away as you. So the thing is about 10 feet around in that area that had like a small, like, pseudo-decorative gate made around it. Inside there's all of the racks for tanning. There's the like crude butchering stations and buckets and things. There's the boy that's sort of within that area. Most of the people are standing around the outside of that like very short little gate there. There's one person who has gone to comfort that boy and is trying to sort of pull him away, but he's not really coming. And you guys can sort of decide whether or not you've pushed in toward or past that gate, or if you're still on the outside. What you guys recognize, what you guys recognize as the anomaly itself is probably 20 feet from where the edge of it is, probably about 20 feet from where people are standing, and some of those lines jut out a little bit farther.
Okay, so we'll push through the crowd towards the front, and I will shout to the crowd like, "Everyone back up!" And I'll turn to Julian and say, "I don't think there's going to be a party tonight."
We tried our best. However, I believe it would be prudent not to celebrate in such an atmosphere.
Give me, just to try and get the people to listen to you, Byron, depending on how you think you're doing it, give me intimidation or persuasion, just to make sure that the people don't crowd in.
So I'm going to be a DM's nightmare here.
Please.
Do I have a minute?
Yeah, I mean, nobody's leaving this area right now.
Cool. Then I need 4 people to make a DC 16 wisdom saving throw, and I'm going to charm whoever seems important in the group.
4 people, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to give some enthralling poetry. A rousing speech.
One rolled an 18, then it was a 2 and an 8 and a 6.
Superb. So yes, I would just like to speak to the people about the nature of community, and they're all strong people. But the reason they're succeeding is because they're strong together. They have each other's backs, and some of them has been raising the alarm bells of danger, and they're right to listen. And so, pretty please, with sugar on top, step 10 feet as the fuck back.
Absolutely. I mean, at least those, I would say, just the nature of the speech affects most of the people there, but those 3 people are basically like immediately like turning around like security at a music festival, just arms out, like please everybody step back, give some space.
I've inspired wonder. They idolize me.
Yeah.
They will think that anyone that opposes me,
so that 2 that is most effective or affected by your speech starts to try and gather people around them, and say and have a discussion like, what should we do to stay together tonight? I don't know if we should be. And they start having that sort of discussion, and you guys have the space to sort of and I would say the boy is the only one that was resisted, but the person with them was comforting enough to pull them sort of out of the area. So you are sort of alone in this area now, aside from all the like destroyed equipment.
Nice work, Byron. Very nice work.
I agree, and yet we have more and more questions every minute and less answers about how to help or how to stop this phenomenon.
It only seems that way now. Let's see what sort of answers we can find by investigating the scene here. Do you mind if I do an investigation check on the area?
Please do.
Thank you. That's gonna be roll high, roll high, roll high. Yeah.
Can I give you a bardic inspiration?
I believe you can.
Yeah.
Is that a D8?
A D6, sadly.
Oh.
Oh.
Right, that brings me up to a total of 29.
Holy damn, a 29.
I'm your Watson, baby.
With a 29, as you're poking around and not getting too close, you're pointing out to Julie and Byron the lines that you see coming out that seem to be distorting the area as well. You see full finger marks in that line. What you actually see is that something is sort of grabbing out and pulling back towards this circle. Yes, these things are destroyed. There's a claw mark, not a claw mark, but a finger mark on the side of a building right next to it as well. With that high of an investigation check, you think back to the room that you saw Miss well, I guess you didn't get her name, the woman with the baby, her room. There were lots of things like that too. The whole bed was pulled down to the ground. There was a rafter that was pulled down, and you think it genuinely looks like something is reaching out and grabbing at things. Based on the things that you've seen it grab, it doesn't look like it's trying to pull things in, but it looks like it might be trying to pull itself out.
Interesting. Whatever this is, it's coming from these circles, whatever's causing them, and it's trying to break free of whatever situation it seems to be trapped in. Well, I think we're looking at an event horizon shortly. As you say, Byron, best to be
between
careful.
your science and anything the ministry gave you, I know they're not forthcoming. Do we have any idea how to close these temporal anomalies?
I don't know, but I can certainly try. Well, Mike, there's no temporal anomaly in here right now, is there?
There is. With this investigation check, you imagine that wherever these things are happening, like wherever these things pop out, it leaves one. Wherever it sort of enters your timeline, your material plane, it seems to leave a puncture behind it.
Interesting. I pass on that information as well.
Perhaps, is there a way to predict when the next or where the next one will occur, Monsieur Tesla?
Perhaps. I'm going to test something. A moment, if you will, ma'am. I'd like to cast Detect Magic, Mike.
Sure, yeah. Let me bring up Detect Magic.
First level spell slot.
Yeah. Just bring it up so I can read it. I am the worst at remembering what spells do, even when they're spells that I have prepared for my own characters. It's for the duration, you sense the presence of magic, but since we do a time-based thing, and this is Tesla, we often do that it has to do with the presence of time tech as well. Yeah. And then 30 feet of you, if you sense magic in this way, you can see the faint aura around it. Any visible creature or object in the area that bears magic, you learn its school of magic, if any. Okay. So you cast Detect Magic, and what you actually see is both like the actual, let's call it like the affected area, the dome, where something has sort of ripped this space and time. You can see it's not a perfect dome or shape. It is everywhere this thing has been, and it has punched through. You can see, not from, well, from this space, you can see like little tiny ripples being caused. But just from Detect Magic, you can see a much larger ripple is coming your direction from the original, or from the first place that you saw the anomaly. You can, in town, you can see like little ripples coming from all the different places it has popped up, small ones, large ones, all over the place. I am just realizing, okay, sorry. And as you look down, what you actually see on the ground is, it's like a hole into like not a perfectly white space, but a white misty version of the reality around you. So it's got like sort of an upside down feel, but misty. I would say that like you can think of it like, though it is not like your D&D like ethereal plane sort of feel, you know, it's there, but it's not there. And at the very edge of your view into that, you see moving slowly away, just like a hint of a, how to even describe this? You see like both, I'm going to try and actually give you a picture from my screen right here. Okay. So what you can see is like an elbow sticking out of one area, and somewhere over here, you can see like a foot sticking out. and all moving away slowly, like just like a round could be a body. You can see parts of flesh and parts of clothing. It's hard to make out, but it's all like slowly sliding out of view from that hole in the ground, essentially.
Nasty.
Might I suggest that this mission has gone from investigation to an evacuation quite quickly?
I'll pass on that information to Byron and Julie Dudley. Perhaps it's not the School of Night we ought to be worried about, but whatever they've unleashed here.
Yes, I agree. I am in agreement with Monsieur Jean. It is the people in this colony need to leave as soon as possible, and whether perhaps we shall stay and determine if we can uncover what it is the knights have unleashed upon this place and why.
Slow clap, bravo. I like your nobility. Yes, let's encourage the people to evacuate and we shall guard their retreat.
Great. Well, and at that decision, let's take a little mini break. Let's take about 5 minutes here. Everybody take a little break, and we'll come back in, let's call it 5. Cool. Should I just pause the recording? Is that how this works?
Yeah, perfect.
I don't know. Yeah.
A lovely stare off into a slightly different plane of existence.
All right.
Things were concerning.
So do you have a plan as a group for what you'd like to do, or do you want to take some time?
Number one, we need to get as many civilians out of there as possible. Number two, I think Tesla needs to do the investigating. Julie, do you want to drink some wine while we watch Tesla investigate?
That sounds like an excellent idea. Tesla, we will be over here. If you need any assistance, do not hesitate to let us know. And he pops the cork off of a fresh bottle and I guess takes another swig from the mouth. I assume we don't have wine glasses, or we're not at that sophisticated.
No.
I always imagine that Byron has like the weird magician's coat where they're just pulling out handkerchiefs, but it's just always bottles of wine, just like constantly pulling out more bottles of wine.
Out of interest, I am actually encumbered, and it does slow down my walking speed. but I found that acceptable. I had the choice of: are you going to add 4 more bottles and walk slower? Yes. Yeah, Byron would make that decision.
Excellent character choice. Okay. So the people around you have mostly disbanded. The people that were sort of talking to the one who is most inspired by Byron's speech are trying to gather some others, and they're attempting to build up the fire in the middle of the town as strongly as possible.
Can anyone fight?
Do you ask that out loud, or are you asking me as the DM?
I asked my minions, my fan club.
The 2 that are still there, they look around, and one of them says there are able-bodied men, but our weapons are few and far between. We mostly have hatchets, and we could fashion a club if necessary. And Abner, who ran over with you, pipes up and says, we have the ability to fight. They show that they have a couple of matchlocks with them. They have a couple of rifles, and they have daggers and whatnot on them they could hand out.
Mostly run. Save those weapons for protecting one another for the retreat.
Sure, absolutely. And Abner turns to his men and says, I will go find a tree and begin to leave a message for anybody who comes to for when John comes back to check on the town. and starts to head off.
Hey, Tesla, uncovered anything yet?
Yes, sorry. Fascinating things to see here, and absolutely horrifying as well. That arm that's poking out, mate.
That you saw just sort of like sliding out of you. Yeah.
I'm gonna follow that.
Sorry, follow it how?
Presumably, it's sliding out of you down towards the ground, but it's around your tent, no?
No,
or is this
what you were
upside down?
This is, yeah, let's call it the upside down, right? So you're seeing it underneath the ground through that like veiled plane sliding away from you.
Okay.
Also, I would say with the detect magic, though, it is mostly a sight thing for the effect here, and for just the nature of what you're seeing and experiencing. You can hear the thing as well, and it seems like multiple voices at the same time trying to, like, some of them are screaming, some of them are gibbering, some of them are talking as it sort of slides out of hearing and visual range.
Okay.
I should note that also the sun is mostly setting at this point. It is about to become dark as they build up that that large bonfire in the middle of town.
Yeah.
It is not that late, but again, autumn and the sun is setting.
I don't know what to do with that, mate. Me personally as a player, that's, gosh darn it. I'll pass the information on to Julie Dubney and to Lord Byron, but I'm feeling a bit lost on what to do with that.
In the meantime, Julie turns to Lord Byron and says, as much as I enjoy whining and socializing, I see the sun is setting. Perhaps we should persuade the villagers to leave the area, as I can only assume we will see another temporal anomaly soon.
Yeah, so have we successfully persuaded the villagers to leave?
Well, you gave the speech about togetherness, about everybody getting together. How are you convincing all of the villagers that it is time to leave? That they are stronger together? It almost implies that they should stay here and all stay together.
So I'm going to go for a controversial strategy for a change. Are you familiar with the works of Tom Lehrer?
I'm not.
Superb. So I will sing a song about bravery and the benefits of staying. And the point of the song will be, we will all go together when we go, everybody with an incandescent glow. When the world becomes Uranus, we will all go simultaneous.
Yes, I fucking love this.
The point is how wonderful it will be when everyone evaporates simultaneously, and how together we will be when everyone dies in unity. Heavily ironically lacing the idea that it's very brave to stay, and it will be very heroic way to die for everyone that chooses to stay.
Sure. Let's see. I would like you to roll persuasion, obviously, but I wish there were a sarcasm that you could also roll.
Performance.
Performance I think is better. And I'm also just going to roll some blanket rolls just for the people surrounding you.
May I lend my operatic voice and my bardic inspiration?
Absolutely.
I need it.
There you go.
Plus, is that a D6 for your bardic inspiration?
Yep, correct.
Then that will be a dirty 20.
dirty 20. Let's see. I just want to roll some stuff just to see how they feel about it. Wow. Okay. So there are at least there are probably around 4 people who don't get it, like the sheer sarcasm of it. They're like, yeah, all right, here we go, we're gonna die for this colony, you know. Like,
are they perchance Americans?
Oh, shocker, they are now. So we have had many discussions about how Americans don't understand British sarcasm, and I am one of those. So yeah, there are a few that absolutely don't get it. But there are 2, like, historically there are 2 women in the colony that have children. Those women get it and are ready to go, and are also very easily influencing the people around them that care about them, that it is time to go. So as the sky darkens and the fire begins to roar, people begin packing up the things that they need to take with them. Many of these people have taken things on their trip from England to this island, so they didn't come with much, but I would imagine that there's not a lot that they want to just flat out abandon. So as the packing is happening, is there anything you guys would like to do before you begin to sort of lead the cavalcade out of town?
So
yeah.
Are we leading the cavalcade, or are we staying behind for the grand battle?
Well, that's up to you. What are you guys doing?
I think we're staying, no?
Yes, we are defending the retreat. We are the vanguard of the rear.
Julie?
Yeah, I was about to say, on the one hand, I want to guide people out, but we need to stay and figure out what's going on. So, like, Julie would want to, like, find somebody who seems like the most likely leader.
Okay.
You know, whether it's Abner, John, or, you know, some of the women who seem a little bit more sensible at the moment.
Sure.
And you know, I think and further, perhaps you would cast heroism.
Oh.
So that just to seal the deal, to ensure that this person would successfully lead everyone, or as many people as possible, out of town.
Sure, absolutely. Sorry, go ahead, please.
Yes. You mentioned temporal ripples and like how there was the largest source close to where we originally came in, and then there's been little ripple effects from there.
Yes.
And it seems to be tied into where this creature from the night school is coming in. Can Tesla take some time just to investigate around and see if there's a pattern to where it's coming out from? Because it seems to be moving from the outskirts at its source and then coming closer and closer to the settlement.
Excellent. All right, let's deal with things in order here. I'm just going to double check on what heroism does so that I can heroism. Wait, I literally just typed in heroin. That's not and not the good kind of heroin. So willing creature touched imbued with bravery until it is immune to being frightened, gains temporary hit points. Okay, amazing. So that heroism is cast on, who were you thinking? Anybody in particular?
Like I said, like, do I have an insight into who out of everyone we've met so far would be the most persuasive leader or the most competent leader?
Sure. You have probably 2 ideas. One would be Abner, who's really not in view right now. He went to go leave a message. And the first woman that you met with the baby, because she seems to, a lot of people are gathering around her, she seems to be able to influence them, or they at least care enough about her to want to follow her.
Yeah, I think so. I step up to the woman with the baby, and because heroism is a touch spell, I put a hand on her shoulder and I say, Madame, I know you have suffered very much, but you have the power to prevent many more from suffering today. I have confidence in you that you will be able to lead your village to a safer place tonight.
She bolstered by your spell, she takes a deep breath and no longer has that sort of like timidness about the situation she was in. She now looks ready to face the situation that she is in and says, I believe you're right. And a couple of people step up and ask her, like, Eleanor, are you ready to go? And she says, let's gather up more. And like she, is bundling up her baby. She's got sort of like a little sled with some of the things she's got. And she leaves that there and she is gathering people to try and convince more colonists that hadn't responded yet.
But Byron turns to Tesla and mumbles quietly, I shipped that from the start. So.
Of course you did, Byron.
And then let's move on to Tesla. Tesla, you're looking to see if there's any sort of pattern. I would say, obviously, investigation seems like the obvious choice. You can do investigation or survival, whichever one, since you're also looking through and trying to track something, whichever makes the most sense to you and how you're doing it.
I'll go with investigation since I'm going on the patterns that it's creating.
Yes.
Ooh, that's a 15.
It's a 15? Okay. As you go through, it doesn't seem like there's a pattern in the sense of a visual pattern, like it's not like, out in concentric circles from a certain spot or in any sort of shape. But what you are noticing pattern wise is that knowing what you know about this particular creature, it seems like it's looking for things to grab onto, strong structures or physical things that it can reach through and pull itself up. That seems to be the most obvious pattern, if you would call it.
If I look over to the bonfire in front of the house, is that structured like a sequence of logs one way and the sequence of logs other ways? So like horizontal at the bottom, and then vertical, horizontal, so on and so forth.
No, it is more of a like sort of a pyramid style, like things are just sort of being thrown on top of it and making it higher in the middle. But the building next to it seems to be the first building that they built. It is the strongest. It is like the pseudo fence on the outside, built out of logs, like very Lincoln log style log cabin. In terms of structure, it has both stone and full logs. It is probably the strongest building in the area.
Interesting. Okay. Are there any obvious handle holds on the building or something for it to grasp onto? I'm probably going over to too much detail here, but
yeah, I would say with a 15, you probably can't see an obvious handhold on that building, but with your just sheer intelligence and the investigation check, it is. If you think if this thing is smart enough to look for the strongest possible handhold, if it figures out that that thing is there, it is the strongest thing to hold on to by far.
All right. Well, at least we know where it will show. As people are moving out, I'll investigate around inside the building as well, just to see if there's anything particular standing out. But then I'll come back out and tell Julie and Lord Byron what I've seen.
Sure. The building inside has mostly been converted to like a town center. It is part meeting hall, part group kitchen. There's like large kettles over small fires. There's a large fireplace. It's mostly a place for people to gather together and keep warm. There's not a lot of building inside the building. it does have rafters like the other building did, just something to hold the roof in place. But that's about what you see inside that building.
Okay, cool. I will find Byron and Julie and pass that information on so that at least we know where the field of battle will be.
Sure.
Perhaps in that case, this is excellent information, Tesla. I wonder if there's anything that we should be doing to prepare for this battle, preparing the area around us, or perhaps something like that.
You make a good point, Julie. We don't want it to escape, but I don't know how to stop it from just falling back into the ground. Perhaps if I were to cover the ground with something that it could plant on?
Yes, and she rummages around in her backpack. I have rope. I don't have very much more than that. I thought we'd be unveiling a spy, but I am happy to contribute whatever equipment would work for the capturing of a strange temporal beast.
Excellent. Well, wish us luck, and I'll go see what I can do to prepare.
Out of character really quickly. Julie, did you ever get to pick an uncommon and a rare magic item for your character?
I did. And
okay.
All of it, should I say, or shall it?
You absolutely don't have to if you don't want to. I was just curious. I had things spinning in the back of my mind, and I just wondered if that ever got covered.
Yeah, no, I'm good. It's just nothing that is, preparing a battle arena relevant at the moment.
No worries. Okay, go ahead. So you guys are sort of preparing that area a little bit, trying to make it more obvious as a grabbable space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
And maybe, you know what? Julie has a disguise kit. So perhaps she takes out a very brightly colored handkerchief and ties it around one of the logs to attract the creature's attention.
If there's any fishing wire in this settlement, I'll try and make a little fence out of that. I don't know how conductive fishing wire is, but I might put up some little crisscross spiderwebbed areas on the ground, just as little like points to attract lightning. If there's any metal stakes, I'll stick them in the middle of that. Okay,
sure. Yeah, I don't imagine, fishing wire these days is plastic. I have a hard time imagining what fishing wire was back then. God damn it, where's Toby? He probably knows. But yeah, I mean, you could definitely find like some sort of twine or something like that to run it in between. Metal spikes are probably easy enough to find. They have to, make things. So, going around looking for those things. At the very least, you could probably find cutlery. Yeah. Okay.
I'm imagining a bunch of forks sticking out of the ground now.
Yeah.
Byron.
Just to be super on the nose. Before we go over to Byron, Tesla's gonna use a stick and just right in the dirt, rise up here, and he's just gonna do a little bullseye around it.
Okay, yeah, just in case it has enough intelligence,
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
It fools me. I draw my sword and stare at the spot on the ground.
Both rapiers are drawn, and Julie assumes the fencing position.
Sure. So you guys wait in that area. So as it becomes fully nighttime, through I don't even know if buildings had windows in colonies, but you can definitely see outside there is a bright enough light burning from that fire, and you can hear the mutterings of people getting ready to leave town. There's discussion there, things being dragged on sleds past you. You can hear the woman called Eleanor really has taken up a place of leadership and is really pulling people along. Time goes by and you can hear most of the voices have gathered there towards the outskirts of your building. And as they move away and voices get dimmer and weaker, there's a moment where you think, okay, the colony has been evacuated. It's just us and this thing now. And then you can hear some voices again, just a little bit in the distance, and they get louder and louder, and you can hear, oh man, I don't even know if my mic can do it, but you can hear a trampling, like a padding of feet of people running back. And now you can hear voices that are loud, and you can make out just, between the few of them, you can hear them saying, though I want to use the parlance of our times now, but you can hear them all shouting Indians, and running back to back and trying to hide. Some of them, even most of them, probably piling into the building where you are. Where what would you guys like to do?
What? They're speaking English, right?
Yes. Well, I mean, not any natives, but all the people that are in the town.
Then and they're shouting Indians to us.
They're to each other as they all run and back and look for hiding places. Some in homes, some in that big house where you are.
The bit of detail I missed. Was this the colonizing group we asked to leave, or is this a separate group?
Oh, already admitted. Was this the colonizing group you asked to leave? This is the you are recognizing some people coming back in for sure.
Okay. In that case.
And now you can hear a second set of feet, a second, I guess, group of human steps padding into the colony.
All right. Byron, Julie, surely there's something we can do to direct them away from this area.
Yes, absolutely. And Julie gestures for the rest of the group to follow, and she wants to run out in the direction of the second set of footsteps, hoping to figure out who these people are, what they want, and how she can convince them to not be here.
You hear just two guns go off outside, and you are heading outside the building, Julie? Is that what you're saying?
Yes, I'm going to start by exiting the building, at least to kind of get a sense of, because we don't know whether there are windows or not, to get a better idea of what's going on outside of the building.
Sure. You step outside the building, and what you see are the two men that were with Abner have hunkered down just on the outskirts of the building, and are firing on natives that are coming in. Some armed, some not armed, mostly with hatchets, some with bows, and they said, and one of the men shouts out, we need all the help we can get. We need not everybody out, but we need every able-bodied person to help us. And they are trying to pack their things again. And in that moment, sure enough, right next to you, you see a little blue circle open up above you, and then boom, as a body hits the ground, and a man in military what you would notice as military garb, with pistols and a rifle on his side, stands up next to you. Buenaventura Durruti, welcome to the party, pal. What you see around you is a beautiful woman with two swords at her side, standing in front of a building and a giant bonfire, 2 men with old matchlock rifles firing at what are incoming, I mean, maybe 20 natives that are, not really armored in any way, but they're invading this little colony. You guys on the inside also hear a body drop pretty heavily just outside the building into the dirt.
Judging by their weapons, I like our chances. Comrades, who am I firing at?
Durruti. I don't believe you want to start firing on the natives. We need to get these settlers out of here. There is a greater enemy below us about to emerge.
All right. Point me at it.
Good. I turn to the... how many settlers are left with us?
Well, inside the building where you are, there aren't many. There's maybe like 6 or 7 people who like scurried inside the building where you are, but others have probably found other places to hide within the colony.
Okay, well, anyone within 30 feet. Yeah, anyone within 30 feet I'd like to charm. So I can charm 2 people. They need a wisdom saving throw.
Sure. Wisdom saving throws. Let's see it. Two people you said, or 3?
Just 2.
2. Wisdom saving throws. One is a 6 and one is a 15.
Okay. Both fail. I just turn to them and say, "This is not your battle. Get out of here, chums."
And they, one of them is with their partner. Actually, two of them are with their partner, and so there's probably only 2 others that are sort of hanging around. So 4 of them all pull out and go running away from where they thought the natives were coming.
Okay.
I shout to Abner John, do not shoot at them. I do not think that they are trying to attack you. They may be fleeing something that lurks from even further behind in the shadows.
Ooh, that's going to be a tough persuasion roll. You do not see Abner himself, but you do have his 2 men that are with you right there. Yeah, give me a persuasion roll. This is going to be tough.
But with a bardic inspiration.
Oh, thank you. So 1 roll and then add a d6 to that. Okay. Okay, 9. So 15 plus a 3 is an 18.
18, absolutely. One of them is happy to put his weapon down as he's like panicked and struggling to reload it. Anyway, he throws it down and turns and says, "What should we do?" And the other one says, "Get ready to fire, you idiot!" And it keeps packing, but one of them is 100% locked in on you and is like, "Okay, what should we do?"
Durruti is. I'm going to fire off my star in the air. And I'm going to use my intimidate.
Ooh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, so I have advantage on this. So let's roll intimidation.
Sure, absolutely.
I'm going to say the lady gave you, the senorita gave you an order, sir.
Yeah.
All right. So first is 22. Second is natural 20. 27
Holy shit.
altogether.
I mean, even a 22, but with a natural 20, the second guy like sees he sees what you fire into the air and is like, "I've never seen anything like that. Fuck this." And like absolutely drops his weapon and is like, "Oh, okay, but they're still coming. What should we do?" And as some natives come in, it seems like most of them are trying to break into buildings. Anybody who knows anything about this time might think that they are trying to recover things or just trying to get things for survivability from the oncoming winter from people that they believe have been probably raiding them.
So raiding
but a few are out there with bows and attempting to fire on you. You see like one hits the building and jiggles right next to you, and the men next to you are starting to duck. Just for the sake of organization here, I would like us to roll initiative.
Okay,
let's do it.
25. That's a nat 20 plus 5.
25. Holy damn. Okay.
17.
Okay.
22.
Oh my god.
18.
18. Okay, and I still have Rasputin typed into here. Doi. That's not the case. All right. Sorry. So many windows open, trying to keep things balanced. All right, let's see. Okay. Oh, so you just sort of arrange this. Julie, unsurprisingly, will be going first. So the order is, if anybody wants to type it in chat for everybody so that we all have it. Julie, Byron, Tesla, Durruti, natives.
And then the townsfolk aren't in the initiative.
Well, you know what? Oh yeah, I forgot to put those two guys in there. Let's go ahead and do that. The townsfolk themselves I'll put in the initiative, but there will only be a couple that are willing to fight. Only a handful that are willing to fight. They have hatchets, so they are fighting in melee. And the rest, obviously, the townsfolk can be there, but you guys have had enough influence on the townsfolk to tell me what you think they should be doing. And then we'll decide from there.
Run, you fools! Run,
you fools! Okay. And then so before the natives, surprise, surprise, Abner's guys will go. And then after the natives, townsfolk. Or colonists, let's be real.
Oh, whoops. I'm gonna update that with the other two.
Okay. Julie, Byron, Tesla, Durruti, Abner's men, natives, colonists.
There we go. Okay.
I love the idea that Durruti has no idea where he is or like what he's shown up to. Just like, oh, there's a bunch of people. All right, everybody shut the fuck up and listen. Like
So for those that have played Counter-Strike, there's always a player that spends a little bit too much time looking at the weapon options and is late to the fight. And I like the idea that Durruti was in the armory like, like, dude, so glad of you to join us. Thank you.
I'm not super sure what's happening here, but listen to me. Bang, 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 bang. All right. Let's go.
Hey.
Knows what she's
Durruti said, I'm not super sure what's happening here, but listen to the woman. Bang, bang, bang,
Yes.
bang, bang. Thank
Bingo.
you.
And also more on par
Feminist
for Durruti
icon.
in general. Yes.
Yeah.
All right, Julie, I apologize again. You are first here.
Oh boy. So just to clarify,
Yes.
the natives are continuing to fire at the townsfolk. I'm not quite clear on that.
Yes, they are. They're firing on the men that have fired on them, which are the two guys that are nearest to you. You learned from your education on what happened to the colony before this one that there were repeated attacks from mainland natives. The natives from the mainland had been repeatedly pillaged by European colonists. And so when they find colonies, they would go ahead and raid those colonies occasionally. This could potentially be one of those scenarios. So there are natives firing on the two men that they know have weapons.
I mean, fair, but this is not a great time. I mean,
no, it's not.
We have other things to, I think we have some bigger priorities,
yes.
Right? Though, like I said, I do appreciate that their belongings have been stolen, and I'm sure, you know, there's been a lot going on before we rolled in terms of the politics of the situation.
Yeah.
But you know, like I said, Julie cares about the fact that there's an interdimensional time portal probably about to open, which is going to be bad news for everybody involved. And so what she will attempt to do is she kind of hopes that perhaps the natives are familiar with the phenomenon, but she will try to like kind of pantomime in a way, you know, to the like many hands and like shifting faces and kind of.
I'm getting very French mime vibes from you right now.
Yeah, you know, did a bit of like the invisible wall, and trying to just communicate like it's like happening now. We need to stop. Yeah. And for now, and then whatever happens is between them.
Okay. Are you no spells or anything like that? You're just trying to mime to them that it is time to go?
Let's throw a charm person into the mix.
Okay.
I'm gonna cast charm person.
Okay, yeah.
I have no idea what this mime is saying, but I like them.
I'm in danger. Quick, I better mime.
I have people skills. These are my skills. I'm trying to use them.
Yes.
I'm gonna charm, but unfortunately I only have, because I'm only bard. I've got 2 levels in bard, the rest in fighter.
Okay.
I can only target one person. So I'm gonna try to target like the grouchiest, burliest looking native. Just in case they're not as swayed.
So what do they need to do? Wisdom saving throw?
Wisdom 15 saving throw.
Okay, wisdom 15. Okay, that's tough. It's a natural 11 for a 14.
Ooh.
So they fail. Is that right? Is that what I have here? Oh yeah. Okay. So yeah. So they fail. So you have successfully charmed one person, and your attempts to communicate are not completely lost on this person. The scratching arms and just the general the panic and the fact that you're not fighting back right now and attempting to communicate is enough to really sway this person. And you see them lean in and touch a couple others around them and try to let them know. And you see at least 2 stop firing. They put down their weapons and attempt to communicate. They're I mean, obviously not all of them are, but they're that who knows that level of communication that you've passed on could spread as they go along, but it has reached one, and they are attempting to stop the 2 around them. Byron, what do you got?
I gotta be honest, I didn't know what I was gonna do, and so I think
it's a tough situation.
What everyone should do in such a situation is see a good idea working and copy it. So I'm going to charm 2 people at level 2. They need to do wisdom saving.
That's what you get for leading with bards.
Yeah, I'm going to copy Julie. I'm just, yes, try and persuade. Does the universal translator work? Do I speak?
Oh my God, that's an excellent question, because technically that's a question for Toby, but he did make it a universal translator. I don't see any reason why you couldn't attempt to use it with them. It would be extremely confusing.
I'm about to speak. Right.
Oh man. Okay, so I tried really hard to get a name for a mainland native tribe that would be right there. The surrounding this story, the only name that I could get were the Croatoan, the peaceful people that they were trying to move towards. So also, you don't necessarily want to name the like baddies that are coming in without having any idea who they are. So whatever language you're speaking, doesn't really matter where it comes from. You don't know what language you're speaking. You only know that magical mushroom soup allows you to speak to them.
Cool.
Yes, it was magical mushroom soup.
I will try and charm then 2 people at once.
All mushroom soup is magical.
Let's be real. Okay, so 2 wisdom saving throws.
Yeah.
I mean, you could probably see it. I just rolled in here. That was a natural 19 and then natural 20. Byron, I'm so sorry, buddy.
I'm not as charming as Julie. This whole session has been testament to that.
You are dressed the most strangely out of anybody they've seen in these colonies yet.
An excuse. As a bonus action, I will give Tesla Bardic Inspiration.
Tesla, you have Bardic Inspiration, and you are up next, sir.
All right. Let's see if I can follow the example of giants here. We're really trying to get these people to get out of here.
Yes.
Nice if they listened. The way the natives are coming in, is there a very clear
direction?
Could you give me a mental map of the picture here? Could you re-describe the current scenario?
Absolutely. God, I wish I could show you a real picture. So imagine the colony is a rough circle of these big lumber, sorry, not lumber, but big tree stumps that they've used as posts around the colony, right? There's one area where the connection for the circle is off center like this, where people can come in. But it's about a foot between the slats. So, you could technically slide in. That edge is towards the south and it points towards the east, which is the ocean over here. The natives are piling in mostly from the west and from the south, coming in that direction, and are filling in mostly around the sides of the buildings on the outside. Not many are coming in towards you, but they're in clumps in areas, and there are just a couple trying to make their way around to get closer to you.
Okay. It's not ideal, and I don't want to do this, but I think I need to create some distance here for people to breathe and think a bit. So Tessa's just panicking under pressure, reaches into his satchel and components pouch and starts looking through things, grabs up his notes and research, and as he does so, he breathes in, and as he breathes out, red hot air comes with it, and in a line about 60 feet long, he's going to do a wall of fire to try and corral the oncoming natives, so they're being funneled a bit more.
Sure.
So essentially blocking off one of the entry points.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's say, you're sort of curving it around this way. I would say that on this side are a couple of people Julie has already convinced to just stop. You build that wall for sure. It's like a nice curve around you. So anybody that would try and get into you would have to come all the way around this side and potentially interact with the ones that have already been convinced to stop. I think that's smart. And I would also like you to roll an intimidation check for me with advantage. Because you just breathed fire at people.
13.
13, yeah, absolutely. So not that you can see the reactions that are happening behind there, but needless to say, nobody's super excited to interact with the fire-breathing guy.
Yeah.
Durruti, you are up.
All right, so who... do any of these guys look like they're still up to fight after being charmed and breathe fire at?
Up to fight. There are, I would say, in your line of sight, because the wall of fire is blocking a lot, there might be one or two off to, let's call it the west over here that haven't necessarily stopped yet, that still have bows drawn.
Okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. I am gonna take my Mauser, and I'm gonna fire a winging shot at one of them. So my intention here is not to kill him, but to knock him over. So let's and just make it so he cannot fire his bow, and hopefully scare the crap out of the other guy. So
sure.
All right, let's find the Mauser.
Can you describe a Mauser for me, just for my own edification?
So it's a Mauser, so it's like a World War I era single shot rifle of German origin. Probably, if Durruti's using it, it's probably loaded with the better Mexican ammunition, since the only people who sent ammo to the anarchists were the Mexicans.
So it's a rifle. Okay, go for it.
All right, so let's go for my attack. Ooh. That is actually I just rolled to jam the rifle, so I have to roll again to basically, so the rifle starts to jam. I'm gonna roll again to see if I can break that. So that one was a 23, so the rifle is not jammed. So I'm gonna use my second attack, same thing. So and that's gonna go. This is what I get for using the Mauser and not the Star. I should be using semi-automatic weapons.
That would be,
and it jammed again.
Oh no!
It was not the Mexican rounds.
That's so bad.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. You know what? I'm going to action surge, drop the Mauser, just kind of roll my eyes, drop the Mauser, and I'm going to pull out my my Colt. Automatic Colt pistol, same thing.
Okay, a winging shot. Yeah, go for it. Oh,
21.
Okay, definitely hits. So you let it off, and it is a sound unlike anybody on this battlefield, aside from your current teammates, have heard before. It is not as big and boomy. It is a tight, like really loud bang. And it cuts through the chaos, and somebody is clearly winged. Shoulder, leg, just what they're holding. What are you trying to do?
So this is the guy's drawing a bow.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna blow through his arm.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
The bow
Catches it on the shoulder. Let's say the shoulder that was holding the bow.
The bicep. The shoulder could be a fatal shot. I want to hit him in the bicep. And
sure. He drops.
It's probably pretty bad.
Drops the bow, and it is just like a scratch, and you see them sort of scurry back, and the panic in their eyes from really all of the things that are going on. They immediately start to scurry back towards the people that had put down their weapons and are talking. It now becomes Abner's men's turn. The two that are there, having not been giving any like direct instructions, except it is not time to shoot and fight, and seeing one person pull out a weapon that they do not understand, fire it in the air, and then fire it clearly with the direction to only wing one person. They are going to surround the building where they know like a couple people still are. No, you know what? One is going to stay at the doorway of that building, and another one is going to go try and find another building to protect, and they'll spread out, still holding their guns but not firing. It is, in fact, the natives' turn. The three that are talking grab up their weapons and don't run by any means, but like try and move themselves into a position where they're more hiding, but they are no longer carrying their weapons as if they're going to use them, bringing the injured one with them. One already had a bow drawn, so he's just going to let it fly. I think it's going to have to be for the one who let a shot go, so Durruti coming at you. technically it's 2 attacks, but it's going to happen.
Might be fun. I get to fight with a bayonet or something.
Hey-o.
Or I guess maybe my rifle butt.
So 2 attacks. Each are +6. Oh my god. One is a natural 1 and one is a 7, but they're +6. So the one that's a 7 is 13. I still don't think that hits you.
Not even, my AC is 17 now.
Yeah,
so.
Absolutely. So like just the panic in the moment they let those 2 shots go, and seeing their friends move, they almost regret it and put their weapon to their side and start to move away. You don't have any more attacks clearly coming from you, but Durruti feeling it for the first time. Everybody, your ears start to tense up and squeeze in, and this very intense, like Durruti, I've explained it like this before, like the plane is landing pressure. If you ever get that, like when you're flying, that like really intense pressure on your ears starts to squeeze in on your head.
Yep.
And
so something.
Durruti, what's your passive perception?
Passive perception.
Actually, not everybody just give me a perception roll, because I'd rather do it like this, just because you all feel this and most of you know what this means.
Yeah, for the record, my passive perception is 13. So then perception roll is 22.
Okay. Everybody, perception rolls, what do you got?
6.
6?
I must
Okay.
be occupied with continuing to do my French mime acts.
It's it's very involved.
15, still patting out the fire on my mustache.
Sure. Byron? You're muted, buddy. I think. Or you're not there? Yeah, muted. Okay, Byron's muted. Anyway, so the 15 and the 22, Tesla, you see something you sort of expected. Durruti, you're seeing something that is altogether brand new to you. Over the wall of fire, towards the giant posts of lumber, you see an arm outstretched. And it seems at first a normal human arm out of absolute nowhere. You know, there's a line in reality where this arm is stretching out, and that pressure is squeezing into your ears, and then you see another arm and a face attached to no neck and just a blob. And as these arms pull, and one arm reaches over and grabs the next pull, the pulls start to fall. And the time effect, the visual effect on what's happening in reality behind it is actually visible to everybody seeing this for the first time. It is warping reality around it. Its hands are pulling onto these posts, and as it falls forward with the posts, a mangled Cronenberg mass of heads and bodies and arms and feet fall out with those posts as it pulls itself forward, and 4 posts fall forward and slam behind the wall of fire. And as the few of you that could see this thing pull itself into the reality where you are and feel the giant, the weight of it hit the ground behind it, we're going to go ahead and suspend the session, and we will finish this off.
Oh, there.
Next session. So next session will come in full team. We'll stick with the same initiative, but it will roll its own initiative and join. And you will get to see the time traveling Cronenberg from the in-between.
Ba, ba, ba.
Bum, bum, bum.
I like how I used up like all of my special shots defending and scaring away the natives, and now I got this thing.
Here it comes.
At least it's my Mauser that is jammed and not my star.
Yeah.
We're not